Hey guys, this is Sergeant Phoenix back in the action, and today we are starting our new chapter on Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profiling. And the first one I've chosen to do is one of my favourites from the 5D series, Officer Trudges Persuit deck, which includes the insect monsters he used, because I like them. So I organise mine from monsters, spells, traps, and then the extra deck, because it's my way of organising. So the first one is one everyone knows if you've seen it, Montage Dragon. And this card can't be normal summoned. It has to be special summoned by taking away the top 3 cards of your hand to the hand to the graveyard. So let's say I get rid of 3. I can now summon this. But this and the reason it has a question mark on its attack point score, because it gains attack points equal to those monsters' levels combined, multiplied by 300. So of the 3 I sent levels at total 10, it had its attack points now become 3,000. But originally it has 0. Next is Turapart, and this card can only be used to synchro summon warrior types because it's a tuner monster, if you can read the description. And it's a good card to have for warrior type synchro decks, because when it's used to synchro, when it is used as a synchro material for a synchro warrior, you can then, your opponent can no longer activate traps when it attacks until the end of damage, like H and Gears pretty much, except that's all the traps and H and Gears are both spell and traps. Next, and this is why I said it's different, because I added in the worm decks. The worm deck in it. Well, cards, not the deck, actually. I just say cards, actually. Warm Worm. When this card is destroyed by battle or effects, it doesn't say, so it's pretty much any form of destruction. Your opponent has to send the top 3 cards of the deck to the graveyard. Next is Shield Worm. And when this monster's summoned, like this, it goes to defense. And then your opponent has to send the top cards from their deck to the graveyard equal to the number of insect monsters that you have on the field. So if I have 5, they get rid of 5. If I have 3, they get rid of 3. Next is Persuit Chaser, which is a good card if you've got a good defense, because Persuit Chaser, every time a defense monster, including yours, gets destroyed, you can inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. So even if they destroy your defense, you can make them suffer damage. Samurai Sword Baron, which is a good one. And I got it in this edition because it's cool. Once per turn, I can select a defense monster my opponent controls and switch it to attack mode. So if they try to hide defense, I can just force them into offense. Next, they have 2 Dark Tinkers, which are Dark Tuners, with about level 2s. When these cards are sent to the graveyard, no matter what, from a synchro, from a destruction, I get to look at the top card of my deck and choose what I want. I can keep it in the top or keep it in the bottom, so I know what I'm going to draw next and see if I want it. Next, I add 2 Search Strikers, and this card's an alright card to have, because when these cards destroy face down defense monsters, it instantly destroys them without calculating anything. So that means even their effects, like Marshmallow, if you attacked it Marshmallow face down, these 2 cards it'll stop its effect from inflicting damage on you and its destruction. Next, 2 Guard Dogs. Not the strongest of cards, but just handy just in case. And it's what Trudge used in the series. And the reason I added these, because it's from the story, like I said, and I like basing my decks on the stories. So it's a flip effect monster, and when they're flipped, your opponent can't special summon the rest of the turn. I also added 3 Gonagos, because when this card's involved in damage, so let's say an opponent's monster battles this, either I attack or it attacks it changes them to face down defense position at the end of the damage step. Next, I added from the first episode 2 Assault Dogs. And the reason being I added 2, because when one of them gets destroyed in battle and sent to the graveyard, and that's my dog making all that noise. So when this card successfully gets destroyed in battle by your opponent's monsters, I can special summon any number of them, but I only add an extra one just in case. And plus it's handy for synchro summoning because half of them are level 6s. Next, Jute Fighter, which is a tuner as well. And once per turn, this actually forces once per turn, attack position monsters your opponent controls go to defense position. Next, I added 2 Discblade Riders, each having different nice qualities. So once per turn, it gains 500 attack points by banishing a normal trap card, so it doesn't have any symbols on it until the end of my opponent's next turn. So even if I power it on my turn, when it's my opponent's turn, it'll still have 2200 extra. So it's a handy card to have depending on what traps you've got. I also added in 2 Stygian Security for extra security. Because when these cards are destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, I could special summon another one of these just in case. Or you could special summon another level 1 Fiend type monster from your deck. I also added from the series Stygian Street Patrol because when this card successfully destroys a monster in battle, your opponent loses 100 attack points per that monster's level. And also because of its graveyard effect. When it's in the graveyard, I can remove it from play to special summon a Fiend type monster. So with 2000 or less attack points. So it is a good card to have if you're building a Fiend deck. Next, the card that made the Persuit deck famous, Gate Blockers. I'm hoping they do invent the second one where you have to sacrifice this to special summon it. It has 2. I think it has 2 eyeballs and it's got a red instead of an orange display, and it has 3000 defense. It isn't so but in the anime, this effect rule is your opponent can't gain speed counters because that was the rule for turbo dueling. That's what these were built on. But this rule is, when it's on the field face up, your opponent's field spells are negated, they can't gain counters, and they can't target other monsters you control with effects. So it's a handy card. Next, the Spittle cards, which are all here. I put in 2 Worm Baits for backup. So, let's say I had 4 Pursuit, and I had Pursuit Chaser. This would practically deal them out 2000 in total. Because it lets me summon 2 Worm tokens with 0 attack and defense, and they're level 1s. It's also good for Shield Worm, in case I summon that and it's in a good defense. Next, Swords of Revealing Light. So your opponent can't attack for 3 full turns. Next, Mystical Space Typhoon. So I can target a spell or trap card on the field and destroy it, and it's a quick effect. Next, I added Emergency Provisions in case I didn't need the worm bit. Those Worm Bait cards, because I can get rid of them both and I'll gain 1000 points per one, because I can destroy my own face down cards or face up cards and I'll gain 1000 life points per card I get rid of. Next, the traps, called the Haunted. So I bring back a monster on my field in attack mode, equipping it to this, but when this card gets destroyed, that's destroyed as well. Mirror Force, everyone knows, so it deflects your attack back at all your opponent's face-up attack monsters and destroys them. Next, Waboku, which stops you from taking damage and your monsters being destroyed. But it only lasts 1 turn, and it is a normal trap like the Mirror Force. And so that's why I added in the Discblade Rider. Next, Broken Blocker. So my opponent destroys one of my defense monsters that have higher defense than their attack. I can summon the rest of them from my deck in face-up defense position. Next, Dark Bribe. So when my opponent activates a spell and trap, it'll negate and destroy it, but they do get to draw an additional card. It's a hand. Nearly everyone uses it where I'm from. Next, Fiendish Chain. So it equips to a monster on the field. It stops its attacks. So it can't change battle position, it can't attack, and it can't activate its effects. Next, Regretful Rebirth. So when my opponent destroys a monster in battle, it'll let me resummon it in defense. But during the next turn it's on the field, it has to be destroyed at the end of my next turn. And now we're on the extra deck. 2 Stygian Sergeants. When this card And it needs one fiend and it needs a fiend type tuner to summon it. And the reason I choose this, because it's in the series, but also when it destroys a monster in battle, it'll gain 800 more attack and attack again in a row. So, you know, it's like almost like Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the beginning. Except Blackluster Soldier's more badass and has 3,000 points. Next, Goyo Guardian. I've only got one of these because, you know, I only got enough time for one. But I am getting more Goyo Synchros for making this deck a bit stronger. So if I do have a... That's my dog. When this card destroys a monster in battle, I can, instead of, and sends it to the graveyard, I can actually special summon that monster back to my field in defense mode, so I can steal your monsters. And the Dark Synchro, which they should have made as an actual thing, Dark Sync with negative numbers, Dark Diviner, which needs a Dark Tuner, which means a Dark Attribute Synchro, and one Insect type monster. But it's not a tuner. And this card can't be destroyed in battle. And when it attacks a monster, it makes that monster's attack the same as this. And when this card destroys a monster in battle, your opponent sends the top 3 cards of their deck to the graveyard. But its attacks of your opponents can only activate when your opponent has higher attack points than this monster's. And that's Trudges' Persuit deck. It is an alright deck to use, but during the 5D series, that was the best one they could go up with because it was available to the security. They could have done him better, to be honest. So this is my first deck profile. Please comment down below to see, so I can to give me more ideas on what other decks I've, because I have got a lot more decks and I'm going to profile them. And, you know, see if you want me to do any more of these videos for you. So this is Sergeant Phoenix, over and out.